Mr. Troy Squares. On. Okay, whatever. We're gonna roll this and I'll cut it out. Hello everyone and welcome to the recap for episode 2 of our Yagong Island. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a guest today, so just me and Marvin. You'll be stuck with your two lovely hosts here. So, all right. So we get started here, and we get into the aftermath. We let everyone back in and say, all right, I'm Bishu and Banma getting your first look at the new Shayu tribe. Zach voted out the first tribal council. No one's overly surprised. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, but this happens to Zach a lot. It just kind of okay, whatever. And then I sit there and I tell the castaways, I'm like, all right, so are you guys ready to get to the next community challenge? They're all like, yeah. I was like, whoa, we're swapping. So I just want to give a little background with the swap because it's a little weird. Originally, we had Fishu and Shayu were the two tribes, and we had, unfortunately, one person had to drop due to work issues, 9 hours before our mini. So we're like, what do we do? And we couldn't figure out a placement. So ultimately, we had to do is say, hey, why don't we just do 2 tribes of 5 and put this twist in? The swap was supposed to be at 13. We were supposed to exile. So we're like, why don't we just do it now? Get it out of the way and have these be the tribes. And it was an odd twist we added last minute, and everyone was shocked. Their faces were already. Yeah, that wasn't originally planned, but I think it worked out. I think it was hilarious.
I don't think anyone was expecting a swap right after the first tribal had already just taken place. So
right.
It took everyone by surprise, which was nice to see because they're like, oh crap, we're gonna have to do a lot more work moving forward now.
Right. And thing was it would have been weird structured if I did that, because I had that whole relay, we'll see later as the challenge planned out, and it'd have been just so weird. I didn't know which one to cut or where it would work out, so we didn't have time to test it to see, okay, what should we hypothetically cut out? So we decided, you know what, we'll just do this. And we later, it's not much a spoiler, we end up cutting one challenge from the season because of it. But yeah, we ultimately chose to do this just because I felt like it'd be a little twist. It gets the swap out fast, gets people thinking. And I think it actually worked. How do you think it did overall, Marvin? Do you think it had the right effect we were hoping for?
I think it did have the correct effect overall, because as we saw, there was a lot of DCP production members, and we'll get into who got into what tribe, and I think it worked out well with what happened with those individuals going into their respective tribes after the swap.
Right. So what we would do is go to Swappy, pull up a wheel first, we throw everyone on the wheel, and lands on Carrie. So Carrie, essentially, Michael on production made a PowerPoint of because I wanted to do something with blue and then highlight the letter next to it. Michael wanted to make it visually pleasing, and we thank you, Michael, for putting that together because I think it looked great. And he put that thing up, so you had to pick a square. So Carrie goes up, she picks her square. We alternate tribes, so on and so forth. We don't know the exact order, but we keep alternating tribes, and they're picking. And I would say something that was really about this, it just went back and forth. It showed dynamics, everything. We got done. Now they say at the end of this, one of my favorite quotes episode, and was nearly the episode title, but until I found Ian saying, I'm a personal couch warmer. Or personal couch, whatever, personal couch. I thought this was way too funny. Yeah. But one of my second favorite quote that probably would have been it is Matt saying, damn, pick last for dodgeball. Such a Mattism, as you will. Yeah. You're just being mad. I thought that was really funny. I had to include it in there last second. But yeah, overall, we see everyone pick. And Marvin, you want to go ahead and tell us the tribe breakdown?
So with Shayu, we have Carrie and Bo from, what was the original tribe?
Banma.
And then
one I can never pronounce.
And then we have Kyle and Ian, who stayed on Shayu. Mm-hmm. And then from there, we got John and Alex. And I forgot Elijah as well from Banma. And this is what the tribe, the 7 that formed Shayu. And then on the other side, we have Fishu, which we ended up having Bill and Lily from original Fishu.
Banma.
Yeah.
The zebra tribe. None of us remember it. It was
None
the
of us
last
remember. And then we have Victoria and Andrew, who came from the same tribe, which was original Shayu, and then Matt, McKenna, and Gabby, which all stayed on Fishu.
Fishu, right. So the most part was actually 3-2. So to break it up is 3-2-2 on both tribes.
Yeah.
Essentially, which was like really great. So it's really even out. You know, they'll change their squares that we have for them. And they get into the challenge. They have to do a relay race. Essentially, where each member of the tribe has to participate, and we had different stages. So the first stage was they
had to throw a ping pong ball.
Yeah, the ping pong ball, five shots into ping pong ball. The next was 20 push-ups, and we'll get to those push-ups because that comes up in the episode. And the third one was the stack cups. Yep.
Alternating.
Yep, alternating. And then we had the dice stacking, which was the longest part of the challenge. They take two, and about this, they'd take 2 dice sticks, like chopsticks, and Kyle ended up doing it, but I didn't specify the way to hold chopsticks, so whatever. Which is worked out, but we had to do that. They had to do that for the next part, and then they had to stack 2 cups with the index card in between and pull the index card to and we'll get to that because I noticed in the episode someone hacked it. But pull the card in between. They get them to go. And then after that, we had the 6 cups with the your feet. And then our lovely word puzzle, which took everyone besides Greg Langstein, who's I know is watching this, over 20 minutes. Greg Langstein solved it in 2.5. So he still has the record for it. However, Elijah solved it in like 3 minutes and 26 seconds, I think it was. It was ridiculous. I didn't think anyone would be like Greg, and Elijah essentially was, but Elijah's a dork like that. So amazed by that. That challenge, I think, how long were we planning for it? Like 45 minutes? And it took like 10?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, and it took 10. Like, I did not cut a single minute single second out of this challenge, which is like ridiculous to me because I thought that would go a lot longer. But we had hacks like all around. So the first one, I think it was pretty simple. Bill actually had 5 cups to shoot into, so he didn't have to like take his ball out, which I thought was really smart. I never specified you had to do. Bo used 1 cup.
Bo used 1 cup and 3 balls though.
3 balls, right?
But I don't know. It can go either way depending on what you prefer.
Right. They both hacked it and both had great strategies. And from there is neck and neck. I think Bill fell slightly behind, but got it soon thereafter. Bo. I mean, the second stage. Where's that going? Sorry.
Then we had what? Ian
and Andrew on the push-ups.
Andrew on push-ups, and
Ian did that pretty fast. He looked like he might have been humping a little bit. Like they weren't pristine form, but we'll take them.
But Andrew,
yeah. Any of us
destroyed those push-ups.
Yeah,
to say the least.
He did like, and I think he said at some point in the episode 20 and 15 seconds, or no, he said his exit interview. Spoiler alert! If you're not watching this, then if you didn't see the first episode, then why are you watching this to begin with? So, Andrew ends up going home, and he did tell us in the exit interview, like maybe I shouldn't have banged out 15 push-ups in 20 seconds or 20 push-ups in 15 seconds. Ridiculous.
I mean, at that point, he kind of had to because I felt like he's the reason his team was able to catch up.
Mm-hmm. No, absolutely. I mean, any of us actually, and I don't think anyone is surprised that Andrew's on push-ups. They're like, oh, okay, like the personal trainer not being on push-ups. Come on. Anyway, being said, go ahead.
Then we had the 10-cup stack, which was Matt and John.
Yes.
And John, being 6'4" just stood there by his desk, just doing it. And I'm like, well, we can't see it. And then he decided to move his camera to show us. And we're like, okay, you're good to go.
Right, exactly. And he said, I love it. He's like, oh, I'm 6'4". Like, what? And I had to reach. I'm like, well, I didn't realize that's like problems, right? I mean, I'm 6 foot. And I'm like, you still got 4 inches on me, and I just think it's so funny how he says like, oh, later on in the episode, oh, I'm 6'4", so it was tall. Like,
Like if it's no big deal, it's like, oh yeah, I'm only 6'4". I'm like, hello, you're a whole foot taller than me.
Yeah, I was like, Marvin, would you like that foot? Would you like the extra foot? Yeah. And then we see Matt, who's
Who's
I believe
going at a pretty decent pace as well.
and he's 5'6", so it just proves that it's really not that tall because if Matt's able to do it, and Matt's 2 inches taller than Marvin.
But
Really...
I think the thing that helped Matt out is that he did start on the floor.
Right, I think so. I think he was able to go fast. Or I mean, I still don't know how Matt did so fast. I turn around, Matt's like, I'm done. Like Matt just really good solo cup challenge. It was
no, what brings us to the next part of the relay.
yes.
Right? Which is Lily and Kyle, who are head to head the whole time. And at some point, both of them get it up to 5 dice or attempting to, and then they both get knocked out. And we're just like, oh my God.
Like I want to hear your perspective of the moment here, Marvin, because I thought originally, I'm like, we're going to be here for a while.
Yeah.
I was going to be like, oh.
I think after, was it Lily and Kyle got a hang of how to do the dice, I think they were able to get it done.
Right. And you see Lily ultimately got done first, and Kyle was still on it for quite a little bit longer there, another minute or two, and he was holding his pants like this. He hacked it.
But while Kyle's still doing that, we have, was it McKenna?
Yeah, McKenna on the
index. Next portion, which is on the index. Do you want to demonstrate what McKenna was doing and then what Alex was doing?
Oh, if I can find index card on the cups and index cards. Okay. So yeah, we see ultimately McKenna get to it. So I don't know if you guys can see my camera. I don't have my desk in front of me, so it's gonna be like, so McKenna was doing it this way. Yeah, and pulling. I'm not good at this or whatever. However, Kyle eventually finishes as McKenna is starting to get done, and Alex did it this way and hacked the challenge. So look, because this is more balanced this way. And so what are your thoughts on that? I didn't catch that the day of, and I was like watching it back, and I was like,
oh no, I caught that because whenever McKenna was doing it, like the cup would not always land inside and it would just tip over. Right. And we're like, and she even knew it's like, oh, it's not. I think that's the thing with Alex like watching. I think Alex was like a little confused as to why McKenna was doing it that way.
Right. Which ultimately
Alex did have his cups set up like that already.
Right.
And I'm like, does McKenna not see that? Like, I understand that you're in the moment doing the challenge. You're like, I need to get this done. I need to get this done.
Right. And like, here's the thing. Originally, I planned it to be the way McKenna was doing, but then Alex did it that way, and we didn't tell him he couldn't. So we were like, oh, like, we didn't say you couldn't. So like, go for it, dude.
It works as long as it's not against the actual information we gave you. And obviously that's one of the things we forgot to tell them.
It's ultimately, I mean, it worked out. He did it really fast, like incredibly fast. Which by the time he's doing that, McKenna's finishing her 10th one. And Victoria's already sitting, you can already see she's got her chair inside her hula hoop because they couldn't move outside the range of a hula hoop, just to kind of make it a little harder. And she's already got, I think 5 cups at that point. Alex rips through them.
Yeah.
And then Carrie gets, and then all of a sudden Carrie gets on the thing. Carrie stacks it decently fast, I think. She has 4 cups. Good.
So I think what helped Carrie out with stacking is that she didn't have socks on, which would give you better grip, as to where Victoria had socks on, because we saw Victoria struggle with her 2 last cups and trying to separate them.
Right.
And I'm like, this is where it's going to be Carrie's opportunity to try to catch up.
And ultimately, I think she's only a few seconds behind, like maybe 20. Gab, and then Gabby and Elijah in the puzzle. Gabby has the puzzle. She has that lead that Gabby could have had.
She had a decent lead. going into the puzzle.
Yeah. Yeah, so basically what we did is we played them a word scramble. I scrambled all the words up. I came up with a phrase first, and then I scrambled them up. So there was 4 letters in the first word. They would have 4 letters. Next word had your tribe. So next tribe would have 5. So there was 5 letters there, but they didn't correspond the words. It was scattered throughout the puzzle. And like I said, everyone I tested it took 20 minutes, maybe. Like I said, Greg took 2 minutes. We're sitting there. I'm sitting there. You clearly see I'm typing I think I was taking the prod chat or doing something, editing something on a doc or something. I was totally zoned out. So like, all right, they're gonna be here for a minute. And all of a sudden I hear Elijah go, I got it. And I'm like, okay, what's your guess? And he goes, your tribe will stay safe tonight. And I was sitting there like for a minute. I was like, and with that, Shayu wins immunity. I was like caught off guard because I was like, wow, he really 3 minutes and 26 seconds, I think. So if we ever play one of minis and we decide to do a word puzzle again, that's the time to beat, I guess. Yeah. So go ahead. What was your thoughts on that, Sue?
So there were moments where I thought Gabby did have it because Gabby did speak up a couple times while she was doing the puzzle. And I think it was shortly after Elijah got the puzzle. And I'm like, oh, does she have it? And then I guess she didn't. So I'm like, okay. But Elijah coming in with what Gabby had a couple,
like a minute or two,
like a couple minutes with the puzzle already, and then him coming in and finishing it in that amount of time, I'm just like,
ridiculous.
Where? Like how? Especially with, like you said, with the people that we tested on, and it took them 20 minutes.
Right. And besides the exception of one person, but I knew that person was a genius anyway. So, I mean, I knew a lot. And I think Michael told me, it's like, well, would you expect casting a nerd like Elijah? Or Ashley King on production? Like, they both told me, like, you cast a nerd like Elijah, it's going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes we did tell them it was a word puzzle, and clearly Elijah felt the most comfortable with doing word puzzles, and it explains why.
Right. Ridiculous.
But overall, I do think Shayu, like somebody else mentioned later on in the episode, is that they are hard hitters. Like someone's like, oh, I'm grateful that we're full of like comp beasts, later on in this episode. I'm just like, in their confessional. If I'm not mistaken, it was Kyle, because it was Kyle that was struggling with the dice. He's like, I'm thankful that everybody else is just...
Ray just picked up the challenge slack, yeah. And so then we get, Shayu wins immunity, and I'm just curious for a little bit editing effects. If you guys can ask me, and Marvyn asked you, how did you like it where I told them, oh, you have to kidnap someone, and then we don't find out until the scramble, instead of just them saying it on the scene? How did you like that overall, like just the suspense of it?
Are you asking me?
Yeah, I'm curious. I want to see what you think as well.
So I liked how it went straight into the scramble, especially with what Carrie said, because Carrie, we knew what she was trying to do. She was trying to pull out somebody. Obviously, Gabby, they're like, it just seems that Gabby would be the easy vote because she was the last person to go for the relay. And usually the person that goes last usually gets blamed for losing the challenge for the team.
Right.
And it just seems like an easy vote. So she threw out Gabby, like, let's steal Gabby. And I like it, them going into that scramble, trying to figure somebody else, figuring out who to kidnap.
No, this was after the fact. I cut it out, like the part of them kidnapping. I cut that out, and this is after the fact. So they're going. This is in their scramble, and Carrie's saying that, like, yeah,
Oh crap. Okay.
Yeah. So like that's what I thought it was good. The kind of like foreshadow it, because I found that clip of the scramble. I thought it was like the foreshadow it. So instead of like Carrie outright saying it, because she did say it in the actual game.
She had mentioned it in her confessional as well.
Exactly. So I thought it'd be like a little bit of foreshadowing, so you didn't know. What do you think about them kidnapping Gabby here?
I think it was smart for Shayu's game, because you had like them kidnapping Gabby would cost them to have two from the original tribes. So at that point, they're gonna have to scramble and actually have to come up with the name and actually try to make things interesting already right off the bat, week 2.
Right. And I do think nothing against Gabby, but I do think if she was on the tribe, she definitely goes home there. What do you think?
Oh, I would have said the exact same thing
Yeah.
because I felt that everybody else within that tribe did pretty good, decent
Right.
job, just depending on what leg you were at. But the way that I would have looked at it, I'd been like, well, you were on the word puzzle for so long, like 2 minutes before Elijah got onto
Right.
it, and you weren't able to solve it. So yeah, I definitely think that Gabby would have
Yeah.
been the one that been voted out had she not been kidnapped.
Yeah, exactly. If you're on Xiaoyu and you're watching this, we can't be friends right now. You guys cost me my winner picks. That's all I'm saying. But overall, yeah. So then we see I'm kind of talking, and we get the episode title. People are like, Andrew paying those push-ups up really, really fast, and like, and we see them going, oh, well, and Ian goes, well, he told me he was a personal trainer. Everyone's like, oh, that makes sense. And then Ian goes, I'm a personal couch warmer. And if you know anything about Ian's personality, that is his personality. Thank you for Kylie Scruggs bringing this information. Ian's gonna kill me, but Ian likes to sit. So perfect.
And that's funny because they were the two that did the push-ups.
Right. Little bit of thoughts here. We get Carrie asking, so what happened to Zach vote? And we hear them say, like we said, we always said, we're not sure if it's quite Zach being first boot here as much as it was. What do we say? Zach throwing out names and making the same deal. It's like, what's your thoughts on that? You're like, well, see, we knew it wasn't just because Zach's typical first boot. Like it might have had to do with it, but I think like
So there was definitely some insight that was brought in that wasn't necessarily too well covered in the first episode. And that's when Kyle and Ian were bringing up that during that conversation, saying that Zach was trying to make a deal with Kyle, and then at the same time was throwing out Kyle's name, right?
Yeah, but so the thing was like they were on a room together, the four of them besides Kyle, and Kyle was in confessional, and then Zach threw out his name, but later tried to make a deal with Kyle, and everyone was like, oh, like yeah, you.
They're like, oh, you guys made the right choice. Yeah. It makes a lot of sense now.
Right. Whereas before I wasn't too sure, like, was there ever a chance Zach stayed? I think most likely not, but that probably sealed their fate at the end of the day. And everyone was like, all right, well, we were maybe considering sparing you, but everyone's like, they're trying to say, like, this moves to Zach, like, hey, we're bummed out about it. Everyone's bummed out about it, regardless, unless, like Ian said, unless someone is an asshole in 20 minutes, it's gonna be bummed out. Like, that's good. You're seeing their confessionals. Now, there's a little something. We told Gabby she had to do something. So she gave John a clue to an advantage. And if you guys want to play around, I have the clue right here that John received. And maybe see if you know what the advantage is. I do have the clue. Look behind and look up high, and you shall find the security you seek. So, obviously, we knew what the idols are, but in case anyone doesn't know, spoiler, this is like Mad Up to China. So we tried to make it like that, and that's advantage clues. It's no secrets an idol. Like and ultimately, if someone does find that they have an idol, should we tell? What do you think? Should we tell them what it is, or should we make them think?
I mean, if you're not going to keep it the same next season, it doesn't hurt to tell them.
Yeah. So if you look, I still have the things up because I'm preparing for next season. But the shark and the squirrel and Bon Ma, which is not claimed, were all the idols up there sitting on the door. Because we figured, like, everything's on screen, and like a lot of these people won't expect twists like this. Usually it's a background or something. I think it works out really well. What do you think here?
Oh no, I think it was definitely clever because, like you said, Yagong, this season Yagong Island was based off of Survivor China, and when you think of it, when it came to Survivor China, the idols were hidden literally right above them in those little archways.
Archways that on the way cap.
Mm-hmm.
Like we say, we don't know who finds it. We don't see. Maybe John will tell the clue. Who knows who gets it next? John can end up getting 2 clues, and we cannot see the featurette claimed unless we don't know, because it has to be claimed before pre-merge. I'll tell you that much. So this can be really interesting. Anyway, we get to that. A lot of kumbaya, yada yada. Oh, we're great. We have to get through a tribe. And then we see
It's strategizing.
which does this make any sense? How did Andrew go home again?
Not. So what I'm confused about is the whole time all we're hearing is Matt, 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 and then little sprinkles of Bill here and there. And then out of nowhere, it's like, oh, it's Andrew.
Like, it just slapped you in the face, like, and we're
like, what?
was that your room that it was being set in? Because I think it was just the one room.
My room was saying Matt. So
Yeah.
that's why I was surprised that Andrew was the name.
Yeah, I think it was Ash's room ultimately.
Either
No, I said
either that or Rox's.
Yeah, no, Rox wasn't there at that point.
Oh.
So all of a sudden we hear is Ashley go, hold on, they're saying Andrew now. And we're like, oh, okay. I throw snaps to Matt. We got through tribal. Yada yada yada. You know, everyone has questions. Everyone's like, oh, you know, we're nervous about the advantage. We don't know what quite happened. We don't want, you know, it sucks having to be here. You know, same old boring stuff in the middle. And ultimately, Andrew's votes come up. So, and like the thing is, like ultimately, everything I could find about Andrew going home was what I put. So it made a perfect decoy boo. But like, do we actually know why Andrew went home?
No. The only thing I could think of was like we had mentioned, he's probably like a physical threat moving forward. That's the only thing I can think of.
Right. And I think Bill had a big deal with it, you want to be honest, because Bill was trying to save Matt. And someone like Matt, you're going to see, I think Matt was able to pull for.
So if Bill was trying to save Matt, we knew that Lily was going to end up voting with Bill because Lily and Bill came from the same tribe.
And they played, and actually, so secret, it's an episode. Bill and Lily actually played it together in a game. And Bill ended up going out in rocks on a swap screwed. But yeah, so they played a game together, so they're gonna do the same thing. And go ahead, sorry.
Obviously, we had McKenna that was on our original tribe with Matt and didn't want to lose that number, even though someone had mentioned that, you know, these first round tribes aren't going to really affect going into the swap because they were only with them for like what, 20 minutes?
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Like and then that brings Victoria.
Yeah.
Victoria has connections with Bill, Lily, McKenna. There's no way that she wasn't going to vote with them.
Right. And here's the thing, like, now this is not a secret. McKenna is actually on production now. So like that's another and Kyle now. So ultimately, like, no, there's these more connections. Yeah, they got added for the past season. So we didn't know that at the time because their season filmed after ours. So now they're on production. So like now it's like, oh, so now like knowing that, like, well, they were always gonna stick together. I think that's what screws Andrew, is just being the least connected. Yeah, so and like I said, Reagan confessional, it's Andrew. Now like, let's pull Andrew. He votes him Matt, and I was like, all right, let's see. Andrew. And I think cut this part out of the episode. I think Jay Stahl types something in the pro chat. I go, shut up, Jay. Because like we said, my winner pick ends up going out in a unanimous vote somehow. Which it's just so weird. Like, and I think
go ahead.
I just don't think it was the right choice here. Especially because we don't know what happens later yet, obviously, but I think for McKenna and what was it, McKenna, Lily, and Victoria, this is a bad read because both Bill and Gabby have hosted Matt, and they're close. Like, I know, like, actually.
Yep.
So I think this is a really bad call, and I don't think they read that right. But let's see what happens later on, because now they're 3-3 if they want to be, and that could be dangerous next tribal. Or with kidnapping, who knows? Now if they decide, let's kidnap McKenna or Lily or Victoria, the tribe, if they win immunity.
Like those other 2 girls are screwed.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think about that? Because I think they need to keep Andrew here, and they're gonna need luck on their side of winning.
I also thought that Andrew should have stayed because I do think that Andrew would have been a better asset, or not a better asset, but someone that is more of an asset and probably a bigger shield going forward into the game. Like, you don't know what's next. You don't know if it's, we're staying in this, when the merge is coming, you don't know when it's coming.
Right.
So I'm like,
right, and you never really need a reason to get rid of Andrew. You could just say, "Oh, Andrew," I remember, like, okay, makes sense. Yeah, Andrew's up there because he's very social too. Like, the guy's a triple threat. Or nothing against Matt. Matt knows I love him. He's one of our great friends, but he's good at challenges.
He's a good talker.
He's a good talker. He's not very strategic. He will blow up his own game. I've seen it happen in many other orgs. This is funny. So, in Domination Island, season 1, which I played, I don't know if you know this, but I went out pre-merge, and Matt and Julia were a duo. Matt had a double idol and gave it to Julia, and Julia did not play it. He bought the double idol and gave it to Julia so she can have it, and then went out of the game. And he was like, "I don't think we should play. Should I play it?" And she's like, "I don't know." Yeah, so Matt just does things like that's one of the bad moves Matt's made, and plenty. I'm sure we can think of plenty more, but and Matt ultimately let someone play the middle that got him out. Like, Matt just not very strategic, and like they can kind of control him a little bit.
It can go either way, honestly, with Matt. It just really depends on who he's cast with.
Right, and the problem with Matt too is he won't take no for an answer. Like in my season, like I said, bring back to that. This is an example. Julia knew I was going home. Matt told her, and she bit the bullet and said, "You know what? I'll vote with Jay, cut my losses, whatever." And then Matt does something like, his ally is going out, and Matt threw a fit and started messaging everyone. Like, that's the thing. Is like Matt will blow up. People will start looking at Matt eventually, because I think that's the type of player Matt is. Whereas I think Andrew, you'll never need a reason to. And Matt's a little like he's a snake a little bit. He knows what he's doing. He knows what to do. Andrew, he's not the type of guy to do that. Like, he'll cut you, but maybe like not to like final 6. Hey, he'll ride out to you at the end. No, you're my guy. We're going to, we're going deep in this game together. But I don't know if you realize that, but he's like, oh, I want to take them far in this game, knowing I'm going to have to cut these people eventually. But we're talking final 6. I think they missed an opportunity there for a really loyal player.
Yeah, and that's what brings me to obviously one of our last points was the shot in the dark, which it just makes a lot of sense as to why Andrew didn't play it. Right. Because he felt that he had the numbers. Obviously, we see that he gets blindsided, and
right. I think
had he had a actual gut feeling that he was possibly getting voted out, we interviewed him the other day,
and it was more of a suspicion, I think, than like I'm going home, I gotta go. I think if it was much different than Zach, I think if Andrew 100% knew, was like, I'm going home, he's dropping that belt. He was not giving the opportunity 100%. If he was like, I got nothing, no one's telling me a name, but people are telling him a name. That's the problem here. And do you think is it good?
That's just, he was given a name, but at the same time, we got to think that is how a blindside ends up working. You just have to be like, oh yeah, this is the name, blah, 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 blah. Like, even if the name changes the last minute and you're not in it, that's clear that you're getting blindsided. But he didn't know that. Because people kept telling him Matt.
And that was, I think, originally the plan for very, very far into Scramble.
Yep.
Yeah. But I think this is ultimately a blindside. Like, I don't know. And like for Zach's, I felt like it wasn't really a blindside. I think Zach knew. I think they just forgot to play their shot in the dark. Yeah, but this is pretty much a blindside. I think I even say that as like it looks like a bit of a blindside. And Andrew is saying in his final words, I had fun, but I had a hard thought out of the fight. Overall, what do we think of Andrew's game here and everything?
I think just for being in for 2 rounds, he played a phenomenal, like he showed that he can be a social player. And then I'm pretty sure he had mentioned to us that he tends to struggle with being social in this kind of environment in minis because it's fast.
Right.
Like you need to talk to people.
Right.
And he did show that he was a social player, but I think he knows that he could improve a little bit more.
Right. That's the thing. These minis are kind of go off. Which said, my first one game was actually one of these minis on DCP, and like it's so hard. And someone who's is just more strategic thinking, and was supposed to be the first boot. I was like, I'm voting Bill. Like I was ultimately Bill, who's on the season was, and I was like, I'm voting Bill. That's it. And I was gonna get first boot, but I got saved by Meadowback. And like I said, I had to work and be social in this mini, and it's such a hard thing to do when you're in that. Yeah, when you're from the bottom, it's so hard to be social and just it eventually caught up to me. Like it's so hard. I think Andrew was just a hard fought battle. I think Andrew would be great to see back again. I mean, 100%. I mean,
I would definitely love to see him back in obviously a future season. So
yeah. Ultimately, we see that go home. And that wraps up our episode. It's Andrew is the second person voted out of Survivor Yagong Island. So overall thoughts on the episode before we get into our fan favorite here.
Overall, the episode, I personally think it was a good episode. I mean, I told you, Jay, I watched it like 2 or 3 times. So
I think
that within itself should tell you how much of a good episode that was.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Like I was talking to McKenna Feeney a little bit about it because she edits for DCP. I was like, hey, I got this 55-minute episode, but if it's good, shall I leave it? And she goes, maybe fast forward through tribe stuff. But then I was just reading it, and the way people were picking and people were laughing about it, I was like, I can't not include it. And it ended up being 55 minutes, almost like a whole movie. And I think it generally worked out because it was that good. It was just, there was a lot of funny things. And there's funny things that didn't make the episode. Like one of the Bo's quotes is like, they're talking about amusement park rides. Oh, and we'll get to that. I think this is a much better, like winning tribe scramble because they actually tried to make time for each other. But Bo was saying like how he'd cry in a balcony. And so he's like, I'll go on the ride, but I'll literally cry in a balcony. Before we wrap up here, what do you think about this winning tribe scramble? Because I think it was a lot better than Shrek movies.
I definitely liked it because as you can tell, obviously they did end up stealing Gabby and they were trying to make a connection there with Gabby as well and not just leaving her on the outs. They were all talking. I know Gabby did mention that they did talk about like movies at a certain point, but I didn't really see much of that talking during the scrambling. So
yeah, I think it was like in the that was in context the first one around and a little bit there, but they're talking about amusement parks and everything. I mean, definitely more interesting than like arguing with Shrek movie. It was just, I mean, it just seemed like the bottom of Scramble, but it went on a little bit longer because we didn't have another tribe to get to.
Yeah. But overall, the episode was pretty good. So
yeah, I agree.
It's just goes to show that these episodes are just gonna get better and better, and people are just gonna have to stick around and see what happens because
it gets good.
It gets better, just to say the least.
Was it messy? Like that's the best way to know. So ultimately, we have to get down to fan favorite. So Marvyn, here's what I'm thinking. We got Karen with 7 points, so she's gonna get 4 points. And we got Bill with 3, he's gonna get 1. So we have Ian and Andrew who both tied with 4 votes. So should we split in half and give them each 2.5, or should we give them each second place and give them 3?
I say we both give them both the full points.
Yeah, so it means ultimately we have Carrie with 4, Bill and Andrew. Unfortunately, Andrew only get 3 points because we can't really give him fan favorite voting. Yeah.
Technically, we can.
Oh, Marvyn froze on me. Did you freeze? You're good?
Can you see me now?
Yeah, did you freeze? Yeah.
I don't know. It didn't freeze for me.
That's so
Well,
weird.
As I was saying, technically they can still vote for Andrew for this episode, can't they?
Yeah, I guess so. But if you don't vote for Andrew may fall.
True.
Yeah.
That's
I
true.
don't know.
It's
Yeah,
more
Andrew.
sense to just vote for people that are still in the game.
Yeah. And I don't know if Andrew really played this well, because Andrew was just, I mean, pure blindside.
Mm-hmm.
He's a winner pick. I think he's a great guy, but so yeah, he's got 3. Bill's got 1. So who are you nominating here? Because what we'll do is we'll both agree on 2 people, and so we can get 4 options again.
Hold on. Let me look. I would have to say honestly, I'd as much I'm probably gonna have to say Matt
Yeah, for deflecting that, I agree.
for deflecting and being able to avoid being the one that gets sent home over Andrew. Like, he knew what he needed to do. Like I had mentioned earlier, he knows how to talk. And I think that was the difference between Andrew and Matt, is that when Matt was talking, he didn't seem like he was kind of trying to figure out, like he already was composed and knew what he was going to say, as to where Andrew a few times stumbled.
Right. And I'm going to say, McKenna, because I think she's the most connected person. I think she really was the one who's like, I want to say Matt, and we saw that, and she got her wishes. So I think McKenna had a lot more to do with this than we really saw. Like I said, I think there's little bits in the breakout rooms, little bits here and there. I think McKenna was really. I think Matt was one of the passenger, like in the front seat, but I think McKenna was. She was on the wheel.
I think McKenna was overall, I think, Matt's saving grace.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that.
All right, for the second one, I'm gonna jump over to someone from Shiyu, and I'm probably gonna end up saying Elijah for being able to do what he did with that puzzle.
Incredibly fast.
And he didn't crack under pressure, especially with knowing that he was behind. He knew what he had to do, and he delivered.
Right. And yeah, I agree with that. Who else would you say here? Because I think it's a little bit tough. I mean, Carrie got a lot of votes. I don't know, but Carrie was like, I guess she initiated the kidnap, but like, and then, I mean, I think it would happen no matter what if she spoke up or not. So we're gonna get Tim and Shiyu, or we're gonna give it some diffuse because I think we can.
I think it doesn't matter which way to go.
Exactly.
Up to you.
I'm torn between like Lily and I think someone like Alex, who's a little bit more involved in who's very involved in even like from behind the scenes stuff, very involved in the episode, was really being social, telling stories about stuff. Like Alex was kind of really leading some conversations. I think you don't see in the episode, but he was talking about Alex is actually like lives really close to where I'm from. He was talking about one of the amusement parks here, Six Flags, and like telling stories about the roller coasters because everyone was asking about it. I don't know if that's a good choice, or we should go to Lily, who kind of like had a good part in the I think the no, but ultimately Lily didn't want Andrew to stay, so I don't know.
Honestly,
who do you think? I mean, I'm down to throw it up here.
I would probably say Lily, because you also got to look at the aspect of how she did in the comp
challenge. Yeah, she did.
She was the one that was able to get her tribe to have a lead for that.
Okay, I can get behind that. Yeah, I can get behind that.
So we have Matt, McKenna,
Lily, and Elijah.
All
right, so poll will be up there. I'll probably post this today and post that tomorrow, or I'll probably post this sometime tomorrow when I wake up, whenever that is, and then post this. Overall great episode. I'm gonna tell you something, Marvin. Here, the episode's that good. I'm leaving that whole thing. I'm leaving the whole challenge in. You know that. It's not as long as you think, but it's still pretty long. So
Okay.
Marvin knows what happens, and you guys are gonna enjoy that one. Anyway, besides that, the next episode, I hope to edit a lot of it tomorrow. So save me. But that will be up Friday night. We got that, and we'll probably be back. I'm working again, so unless you can do a recap, I think we're just gonna record, do one probably another night.
Yeah, we'll do the recap sometime this coming weekend.
Yeah, weekend.
And then our exit interview on Tuesday.
Yeah, we're doing it on Tuesday. Because Monday is the 4th of July, so we will be obviously, have plans. So we're gonna be taking a break for Monday, and it'll be moved to Tuesday instead of this week. With our third boot, will be me and Marvin will be back here with Julia Rowe, and for the interview for the X next week, recap next week. I'm gonna try to get someone else to be on here with us. But overall, it's a recap for episode 2. We will see you on Friday for our second episode. Good night, everyone.
Good night.